This is Mari Robeson of Love Lulu Creative, a podcast that supports and celebrates artists and creative entrepreneurs while giving back to the community in a unique and meaningful way. This is episode number 39. And you guys, this one is really near and dear to my heart. It is such a special episode. On today's show, I have the incredibly talented Pam Rossi. And Pam is the daughter of Pat Jackson. And Pat Jackson is probably the most influential mentor I've ever had in my entire life. Although she passed away many years ago, she was really monumental when I was dancing. I worked for her as a teacher and I danced in her company. And I just learned so much from her, not only about how to be a good dancer and teacher, but how to be a great person. And she was one of the most positive people I'd ever met. She really, really did change my life. And this is the story of her daughter, who just took it leaps and bounds into another world. And it's so wonderful. And I'm so honored that I got to talk to Pam today and share her story as a dancer. So as you know, I have a dance scholarship and an art scholarship, and I'm really hoping that the applications are due May 1st. I hope that they will be coming in even in the midst of everything crazy with the schools being closed right now. I hope I don't have to postpone them. But in case I do, this episode is for you young dancers out there who want to know what it can be really like to make a living as a dancer. Pam's story is so inspiring. You guys are going to love this so much. She started back in early 1980. She was one of the original solid gold dancers. She did it for 6 years while it was on the show. She went on to do more things in Vegas and TV and movies and commercials. And she has worked with the most iconic people in the industry. I mean, iconic. Johnny Carson, Jerry Lewis, Dolly Parton, Lucille Ball. I mean, who didn't she work with? And really, her story is so inspiring and uplifting. And now she owns a studio, which is turning out some of the best dancers in the country, Dance 10 in Moore Park, California, where she is just doing such a fabulous job with her students. And you guys, she's an incredible choreographer. She's just so talented and so sweet. And today she is sharing her journey. Wow, we have so many interesting stories about all these wonderful people that she worked with. And she's also sharing some really valuable advice. So if you are a young dancer and considering wanting to make a living as a dancer, this is the episode for you. Please share it with your friends who are in the dance community, because Pam is just such a special person and such a good person. And I'm so happy I get to share her story with you today. So thank you. And if you're liking these episodes, please subscribe. Please share them with your creative friends. We're all here doing this together to support the arts. And stay tuned for this wonderful episode with the incredibly talented Pam Rossi. Pam, I'm so excited to have you on the show today, and I'm actually really humbled and really honored because you are just such a legend. I don't even want to say legendary because you still have such a career ahead of you, but I've followed your career and as a dancer and then as your studio owner, and it's just really special. And thank you so much for letting me talk to you today and learn more about you.
Thank you. I love being here. I'm glad you asked me.
So we go pretty far back, but really the connection that we have is your mom, and she is probably one of the most influential mentors that I've ever had in my entire life, and not a day goes by I don't think about her.
Oh, so sweet. Me too.
Yeah, so I mean, and just the things that she taught me, and I know that you probably have taken it a whole nother level too, with your students now and everything. But I want to go way back to those days when you were dancing with your mom at your mom's studio, and we're talking about now I can say legendary Pat Jackson.
Literally, I think 1972 or something like that when we started.
Yeah. So were you Were you in elementary school? When did you start dancing?
I didn't, my mom started teaching at, I think it was called the Little Red Schoolhouse. It was right there on
On Broad
right there
Street.
by the railroad tracks. And
Yeah, yeah.
she didn't teach for 10 years uh, of my life, but when I was 10, she got offered to do a couple little classes because she was a dancer herself as a teenager, and she did adagio work at 15 and 16 and 17 with a
Hmm.
gentleman. And I never really knew she was a dancer for 10 years. She was just my mom. And she got this job at this little, it was a little dance school, red schoolhouse. It was just like this little tiny house by the railroad tracks right there, kind of going close to the high school. And we would go there, and she says, I just want you to come in with me because I want you to be with me, and I'm going to teach you tap. I'm like, what?
Oh
Okay.
God, tap dance. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking about San Luis Obispo, California, is
Yep.
where this was. Yeah.
San Francisco, California.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So yeah, I forgot to say that. Um, and then she just kept saying, I just want you to learn. And I was interested, not interested. I think kids sometimes really don't know what they like. If they're athletic, you need to introduce them to sports. And I was very athletic, but my mom said, just stay with me. You need to learn this. And she's the one who encouraged me just to keep going and keep going. And as soon as I didn't start until I was about 11. So I didn't start at 3 or 4, which kids are doing, of course, starting young. But I started really late, and then I learned to love it because I started getting good at it. And I think starting to
Mhm.
get good at something is rewarding because you think, I'm excelling, I'm getting really good.
Mhm.
It just something that just kept evolving. And she said, I think you should really try a jazz class too with me. And I said, well, what's
Mhm.
that? So we just it kind of evolved, and I just kind of hung with her. And then she started getting bigger classes, more popular classes. I think the lady ended up kind of retiring. So mom said, maybe we better go somewhere and keep this going. So she started, it was called the Little Blue Room Dance School down in the basement.
Yes.
It was like this little in their basement. It had little butterflies, little sparkly ceiling with a bar on one side, and I think we could fit maybe 6 people total in the area. So we did that for a while, and then it expanded, and we kept going to different places to expand. But I didn't start real early. She just kind of dragged me, said, I want you to be with me and learn this. Like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, let's go. So that's kind of how it all started.
So then, because this was kind of entering the era of disco, and I remember she was really, really big in the whole disco scene.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah. Well, we
yeah.
started our first company was me, my mother, and my sister, and Brenda and Virginia, and they were in college. And I think I was in junior high, and my sister was just getting into junior high. So we started our little dance company called the American Dancers. And then disco got really
Mhm.
big, and my mom and dad ended up buying this building that was a um, it was called the Log Cabin, but it was an old building that um, I don't know, it was turned into a dance school, but by night it turned into a discotheque.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and we ended up performing like a whole floor show, performing in between like halftime, and people would, you know, part the ways. It was like a double decker. It had 2 floors, and you could look down and see the lower floor. It was really neat. But yeah, disco was huge at that time, and so
Huge. Yeah.
a lot of really good music to dance to. So it was really inspiring.
It was. It was so much good music.
Good time.
And so then, so about how old were you when that was happening?
You know what? That was just all through, junior high and high school. Disco was just starting to phase out when I came down to LA to try and get my first job. So it was still kind of there. It kind of started turning into kind of more of the um,
The
Michael
80s,
Jackson.
baby.
Yeah, yeah. It turned into the 80s about that time, but that whole time was really junior high and high school, and so it was really fun music to dance to. tap.
So your mom was basically your only teacher? Did she have other teachers at the studio where you learning from?
She had like one other teacher really, and then she what she did is just nurtured me into teaching, taught me everything that she knew, and then
Mm-hmm.
she kept teaching me, and then we would come down once or twice a year because Roland Dupre and his brother had a school down here, so we would
Mm-hmm.
come down to LA to train with them and all their teachers, and we would do that once or twice a year just to get just to learn more, because they really didn't have video. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything. Everything was just very visual, hands-on. You had to be
Mm-hmm.
there. There weren't really even any teaching tapes visually that you could look at. There wasn't really anything on TV. The only thing on TV was the big TV specials and big productions that
Mm-hmm.
inspired me to dance and want to dance more. So that was the only thing. It was the big productions, like the dancers on Carol Burnett and
Mm-hmm.
Mary Tyler Moore, and all the and the big TV specials. That's what was kind of the only thing that was around at that time. We
Yeah.
only in San Luis Obispo we only got 3 channels anyway.
Yeah, right. It was a really sleepy town back then.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
too much, not too much. So we just, but yeah. So
So okay,
anyway,
so after that time when you graduate from high school and you're like, did you feel like you wanted to go to college to study dance, or you were like, I want to go into the commercial world of dance and I'm going to go to LA?
it's interesting. Um, I I tried just a very short time college, thinking that the dance was going to push me there, and I realized that it really didn't. It didn't challenge me. So I just told mom, I said, I better just go down and try and audition and get some jobs and get some stuff going on here that will
Yeah.
inspire me a little more. So that's what I did. Right out of high school, basically, I came down and auditioned.
So what was your first job?
Um,
Do you remember?
my my first job was TV job was Barry Manilow's TV special Copacabana that we did at the
Wow.
Camp Davis Theater. Yeah, I was 18, and then I got a job down in Palm Springs working with a dance group called the DN Dancers, and we worked at the Riviera Hotel with the live band, and that was like my um, first introduction to kind of a Vegas act. And then I got a job in Vegas at the Sahara Hotel. Right after that job was done, I had to go to audition in Vegas. We flew there to audition, and then I got the job, and then moved to Las Vegas. And then we were with a group called the Sahara Girls that opened for the main showroom acts like Johnny Carson and Don Rickles and Jerry Lewis. So
My
we
gosh.
we opened for them in the main showroom, and that was a lovely, lovely job. Yeah.
So did you ever get to meet those guys?
Yeah, yeah. Johnny
Oh,
asked us all up to have dinner with him, and we introduced ourselves, and we would go hang out once in a while. Don Rickles in his dressing room, he'd be telling jokes. So, yeah, we met a lot of really neat, lovely, lovely entertainers that were so well respected for years and years and years. So, yeah, it was really good. It was really, really neat. I enjoyed it. And then we went to go see, of course, when when everything is new, and I'm from San Luis Obispo, which is such a country town. I raised horses and
hmm.
things like that. So it's like, this was really eye-opening.
Oh yeah,
It was fun.
especially then.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really, really fun. And then I ended up landing the job. I flew. I flew to Los Angeles because I heard there was an audition for a TV show. So I went ahead and in the day flew there early in the morning to go audition for a show called Solid Gold. They did a pilot. And I got
That
picked up.
little show, that
That
little
little
tiny
show.
show.
Well, it was only supposed to go 13 weeks. And so
It was
I,
on for years. How long did
yeah,
that
I
show run?
know, over 6 years. But
Wow.
it was only supposed to go 13 weeks. So I thought anyway, if I did get the job, I was just going to do the 13 weeks. And then my entertainment director at Sahara said I could have my job back as a Sahara girl if I wanted it. And I said, okay, yeah, okay, well, this is only going to be 13 weeks, so that would be good. I'll get this experience and then come back and do the show. But it just kept going on longer. Yeah, it just kept going on longer, which is great. So I ended up, of course, moving back to LA.
So that must have been like early 1980,
It
right?
is. It
Is
was.
it?
It was actually 1980. Yeah.
Because I remember not, I hadn't, I was still living in in the Bay Area, and I remember watching you and thinking, oh my God, how are these people dancing on these pedestals and those high heels with like really, really small little outfits?
Yeah, tiny outfits, small areas to dance in, almost in place most of the time, and lots of levels in high heels.
So scary. Did anybody ever fall off of one of those?
Yeah, uh-huh, yeah. One girl got hurt really bad. She fell off the back of the stage and got
Ugh.
stuck. Yeah, it was bad. And then I ended up breaking my ankle and missed about 2 or 3 episodes because it was slippery. They had gone in there
Oh
and
goodness, on top of
made
everything.
it really nice and shiny. Yeah, so I slipped and broke my ankle. So I mean, there was a few injuries, not like the one girl, bless her heart. She was just on for a short time, but she just stepped back into this
Mm,
area that was just dangerous. So there was a few things that happened in the years, but not too bad considering the stage was really tall. I mean, it was just little and
yeah.
it wasn't huge. It looked probably a lot bigger on camera than it really was.
No, it really didn't. I always scared me watching dancers. It gave me
But
anxiety.
lots of skills and lots of levels. So you really did have to time and watch your step.
Yeah, years later when I was really lucky to be the next wave generation of American dancers, I remember your mom, we had some show to do and she brought out your solid gold costumes and we were supposed to wear them.
Oh yeah,
And I was like, oh my gosh, there's really hardly anything to this.
yeah. It was just like a little trunks, a little top. We always wore like two. What's interesting, I felt like I had pants on all the time because I always wore two things of tight.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
where the girls even today don't even really wear tights. It's kind of the
Yeah.
thing not to do. And I'm like,
Yeah.
God, I don't know where I'd be, because I just love that feeling of being, you know,
Yeah.
having the
Right.
support.
Oh yeah, she was all about that. The new tight and then the fishnet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
fun. Yeah, well, that was really always kind of a big honor and a big deal.
Yeah.
So, oh gosh, wow, that was really amazing. So after you did solid gold, what happened? Where were you? That is a very good run of work for a
Yes,
dancer.
yes, yeah. I was very thankful, and just worked really hard to get there and do my best. But I just I choreographed some things afterwards. I did a couple of jobs older, but before I had my first child, Christopher, I choreographed um, with Engelbert Humperdinck. Anita Mann, who choreographed Solid Gold, took me to go help her choreograph and assist her in England with Engelbert
Wow.
Humperdinck. So we did that, and then when he had his show in Vegas, I flew there and assisted him and worked him out and made sure the show was he was doing good, and he had a couple dancers on his show that we uh, worked in with him. But I did a couple things like that, and I did with Hulk Hogan. I did the Slammy Awards with Anita too. I ended up performing. We did a '50s thing. You could roller skate, so we did a roller skate thing with the
Oh my
big
goodness.
WWE wrestlers, Jake the Snake, and all those guys. Yeah, that was really eye opening too, because I didn't understand the WWE wrestling world. And then when we went and met them all, I was like flabbergasted. They're so nice, but they were huge monster. I mean, they were
Oh my
huge.
gosh, especially compared to all the little dancers.
Yeah, I went, oh my God, this is a whole nother world I never knew about. But that was a great thing. And then I ended up having my child and being a mom and trying to figure out what my next, to sit down kind of figure out what my next step was going to be, or what something that I would enjoy. to keep going and to keep dancing and keep in the kind of keep creative. So that's when I ended up opening up my studio.
But like when I saw on your bio, like when did you get to work with Tom Hanks and
Oh
Lucille
yeah.
Ball?
I did that after Solid Gold. Actually, I actually worked with Paula Abdul on a couple things. I did
Oh
Running
yeah.
Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then I did Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd. We did a takeoff from Dragnet because they did a movie called Dragnet,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, so we played a police officer. You know, we're like police girls or whatever, and Paula choreographed it. So
You were
it,
in that movie?
it was actually a video promoting that movie. So it was kind of, you know,
The trailer. Uh-huh.
yeah, it's kind of like when VH1 or MTV was getting big. It was
Mm.
promoting Dragnet, so they decided to do their own video. So it was kind of a music video with them singing and rapping and that kind of thing.
That must have been so fun.
It
Oh
was
my
really fun
gosh.
to watch them work, and
And
it
what
was,
about Debbie Allen? Debbie Allen is huge in
yeah, you know what?
dance world.
I worked, we did, the thing I did with Debbie Allen was the Emmy Awards because we worked with choreographers and Anita was one of the choreographers and she represented Solid Gold, and Debbie Allen represented, you know, Fame, her show. And there
Hmm.
was another choreographer that represented a line of dancers, you know, so it was on the Emmy. So that's the only time I really worked with her. I didn't really work, um, like she never hired me for anything. It's just that we worked with her
Right.
when we all did the Emmys. We had all the choreographers together.
So you did a lot of early on, obviously you're a professional dancer, but then you kind of moved into the world of choreography, it sounds like.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
teaching probably.
yeah. I did. I helped a lot. I helped with a lot of the choreography on Solid Gold and assisted the choreographers, Kevin Carlisle and Anita Mann. And I helped a lot because I just felt like, you know, I wasn't, a lot of people are saying, oh, you should get credit for that. And I'm like, no, because I'm really enjoying this and I'm a dancer. I'm thankful to have a job. And, you know, I'm assisting and helping my friends, you know, we're all work together. So I was just used to being more of a team and not a solo artist, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So um, it, you know, I always choreographed with my mom. It started really young. I was
Hmm.
teaching at 15 for her. 16, I was a teacher. I really had a great time. So it was always something that I was nurturing all the time, and that mom let me nurture and let me grow as an artist in choreography. So that's how you have to have something to be creative. You have to have an avenue to be creative. So when I was on Solid Gold, I was able to create on the stage and create with our dancers and work with the choreographers. So, and they were really great to say, yeah, that's a great idea. Try that, you know? So it was a nice working environment. I really enjoyed it, but, and I knew that I could choreograph. So I did choreograph a few things. I choreographed um, for Dick Clark, his company did a TV series called Our Time, and I think that was like 87, somewhere around there, 87, 88. And I choreographed a couple of his the TV series that he was doing. And I actually choreographed it and put myself in it. And then I hired dancers, and that was fun because I was able to hire people I really liked working with, and I knew they were really good at what they did. So that was really fun. So I did that too. And
So do you feel like it was kind of because it feels like to me that it's still a small world, even in this big world, it feels like the dance community and like people, even though you didn't get credit for choreography, I'm sure everyone knew that you know, the dance world all knew that you could choreograph and that you were participating in some of that.
yeah, you know, maybe I wasn't someone to sit there and go, oh, I did this, I did that, because I wasn't that type of person. I'm still not. I just really enjoyed it. And I just knew that I felt real comfortable giving my 2 cents and being able to do what was comfortable to me too. So I just think that, you know, it is a small world. It's the same. I don't think it's changed a lot. I keep trying to
Right, right.
tell, you know, there is probably a lot more out there than was out there when I was, because the outlets that I had was either if you didn't do TV or commercial, then you did Vegas and, or Atlantic City. Atlantic City had a lot of shows. One of my girlfriends went and was a lead dancer over there in Atlantic City. So, I mean, that was kind of the outlets for dancers. But now with all the world tours and all the big celebrities singing and artists, and, I just think there's a lot more because they're wanting to bring dancers into their shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's great, to be able to have a little bit of dancing when the singers are coming out.
It's let me just get my jaw off the ground.
Yeah,
I'm looking at my notes because there's actually really an even longer list of celebrities that you've worked with. It's just like,
yeah. I've been really thankful, and you know what? And I'll tell you what, there's just been some really lovely people that have passed through my path. And it's funny because when I talk with Georgie knows that my husband knows the people that I enjoyed working with. But then when my kids are growing up, they're like, "Who's that, Mom? Who's that?" Because
right.
they don't, these people who were icons when I was growing up and I looked up to amazingly, or have passed away, now they're like, "Who was that, Mom?" And it's like, I'm just keep giving them history of who these people were and their talents and what they did and everything. So yeah, I had a really full life that way.
I mean, how did you go about, like, was it like I got work into Solid Gold or whatever it was, and I met this person that gave me the job to the next job, or how were you working through getting work? Did you have an agent, or is it just who you knew?
There's no agents at that time at all.
Mm.
There was a magazine that had ads. There, people started to get to know you, and numbers were given out. So sometimes somebody would know somebody, and then they would call me. My hairdresser, who ended up marrying James Brown, she met him on Solid Gold, and she ended up marrying him. Well, yeah, and it's just like, like 7 or 8 years later, she's calling me, "James is going on tour. Can you choreograph this show?" I go, "Yeah, no problem." So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, but she just knew I was a little workaholic and I loved what I did, and so she knew I could put a good show together for him. So I ended up doing that, and that was fun. So yeah, it kind of like, it's your work ethic. If you're it's so nice to be able to work with somebody, and I'd say this with dancers too. It's just nice to work with people that aren't so ego-based, but just wants the best and wants to put on the best performance and wants the best for everybody. It's a good working environment, and that's that's what Mom brought me up to learn and feel good about at her studio.
You go out the door.
And then it's the same thing. And then when you go out, sometimes it's not so great. I'm not going to say every situation was perfect. Some of it was difficult. If it was a difficult personality that you had to take, orders from, and you tried to do the best you could. So it's never a perfect world, but you just, you try and turn things around and be positive and know that whatever you're putting out there is the best that you can do.
Absolutely. So, okay. Oh my goodness. I kind of want to ask you one other celebrity, just because I'm so awestruck of all these people that you work with, because I love Lucille Ball. And what was that experience like?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I grew up watching all of her shows. Hysterical. And we did a Roaring Twenties number with her. It was a TV special again. And she was taller. Maybe it was the heels or something, but she was a little taller than I thought she was going to be. And she was she was actually really funny. She got down to business. And when you're a young dancer and you're just looking at this star that you watched on TV your whole life growing up,
I can't imagine. Oh
it was like I was pretty much in awe, but I was for sure making sure I didn't make a mistake, or I knew my counts and whatever. And she was, of course, she just got down to business, and she goes, she was funny. She was funny, and she was a little rough around the edges. Like, she had a few choice cuss words, and Yeah, it was funny. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy, But she got the job done and she was ready to go on. And we just, like I said, we just basically, I think she was taught the number by herself. And then when she came in with all the dancers, she did know it, but we still, went over it and over it to make sure she was okay. There was a couple little boo-boos, and then we just kind of retaped it because it wasn't taped in front of a live audience.
Oh.
And so they were able to stop and do it again. But it was really good. I mean, basically, I had Bob Mackey did our costumes.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I was like, wow, okay. And of course, again, being very naive and very new, I didn't even really know who
No,
Bob Mackey was. So,
right?
right. So I started,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, quite a few of the TV specials Bob Mackey did. And I then very much knew who he was after that. I went, oh my God, he just makes the most stunning, beautiful things.
Ugh. This is just so great. And I really am so appreciative of you sharing your story because you were making a living as a dancer back in the day before the internet, before, like you said, it was an ad in a magazine. Like if you went
Yes,
out on that open call for
yes,
for
yes,
work.
yes. Yeah, you just read the ad and you said, "Oh shoot, I got to get there somehow at this time," um, and do the best you can. And yeah, it's different today. They have the agents, and hopefully the agents can, you know, i- if the dancer doesn't know something's coming up, a lot of times they'll call the agent and say, "I know something's coming up. Can you get me in on it?" and whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's really a lot of open auditions. A lot of the auditions I went to is what they called cattle calls, where it's just hundreds and hundreds of people they went through,
Wow.
um, because there was no agents. You just all, went there for the same job.
Mhm.
Now, that you send in your resume, you send in your video, you talk to the agent, they represent you. You may have a manager if you're doing, acting or more print work or whatever. But it's different out there. It's a different way of, and then there again, it's the same. There's the working dancers and the people that work a good portion of the time, and then there's the ones that are typecast. That this is the
Mhm.
person we want because it's definitely the look we're looking for.
Mhm.
So it's different, and like you said, it's a small world because um, when you're a dancer, and that's what you do, and that's what you love. But it's just different. I think the business is different for dancers out there.
Definitely. So when you started your studio, you started it 27 years ago. Is that correct?
Yes, almost 28 years ago. Uh-huh.
So
Yes.
when you started that studio, were you thinking, okay, I'm going to start a studio and it's going to be a competition-based studio? Or I mean, were competitions coming out at that time? Or what was
Mm,
your thought process when you were like,
no,
okay, time to open a studio?
yeah. Well, um, what happened is I knew I had to keep going, raising a child. I just felt like I took kind of a year off, but I just was kind of missing it. So I taught a couple classes, and then I would drag my son with me to my classes, kind of like what mom did, like, you're coming with me and you're going to be. So the lady was ill that I was teaching for, and she asked if I wanted to buy the studio, and talked to my husband, and we decided I'd go to the route that my mom went, and because I knew what to do and I felt comfortable. So I was able to run it and teach lots of days and lots of hours and still raise my family.
Mhm.
So that's what I did. And no, I didn't set out to compete, but I knew that the dancers were wanting to do it as we were training them, and they were such, everything was so beginner. Like we started from scratch, beginner.
Mhm.
And I said, well, we could try a few things. I don't mind taking you guys out and doing a few things if that's what you want to do. So we started a little performing company, and we would go out and do a competition. Not real heavily competitive as we are now. It's evolved. It just doesn't happen really overnight when you're training people.
Mhm.
It takes a while. It takes some years.
So mainly, is it just dance or do you teach other aspects? Do you do any musical theater or?
Mhm. Yeah, I have a teacher who does musical theater. She's fabulous, and she's opera trained, so she does vocal lessons too.
Oh,
At this,
great.
yeah, Oh, she's
Wow.
beautiful. Yeah, she does some of her own shows, and she's just really great. So we've done through the years kind of like remakes of different productions, little Broadway shows and things like that, which has been really great. And renting a theater and trying to give it as professional as possible so kids have a real take on what it is to be on stage and be
Yeah.
mic'd
Yeah.
up and have a nice full audience. So we've
That's
done that
amazing.
too. And yeah, it's been nice. So basically, yeah, it's um, all styles of dance. We've had some workshops with, you know, salsa, ballroom dancing. That hasn't gone as much at my studio as I would have liked it, but it just the interest.
Hmm.
I couldn't keep the interest going. So basically, it's the jazz, tap, ballet, point work where we do Nutcracker, a full Nutcracker ballet every year. And really nice production of that. And just hip hop, all of that. And we did do some ballet bar kind of workout classes too. So, just trying to condition and get the dancers strong.
I find that kind of a little funny, just the bar classes that pop up, everywhere. It's like it's the new thing, and I'm like, that's like the warm up
Yeah, that's,
to a ballet class. But
that's just,
okay.
yeah, you might just do it a little bit longer and hold it a little more, but yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, absolutely. It's nothing really new, but you just to put a new little twist on it.
Gave it a new name. There you go.
Exactly.
um, so, okay, I should mention that your studio is in Moore Park, but you have more than just one studio, correct?
No, actually, I don't. I'll tell
Okay.
you what. I only have one. I've only chose to have one. I didn't want to spread myself too thin. And my mom had like 3 studios at one time.
Right.
And I just saw that. I knew she enjoyed it for a moment, but I knew that it was a lot.
Hmm.
And I felt like I didn't want to go there. So I had thought about it. I mean, I had talked to my husband about saying, should we open one more and branch out? And I just said, you know what? It's enough. What I have is enough, and I can focus right in one place, focus on the students, parent meetings and all that stuff. So it's been plenty for me from one
Well,
hand.
it's not only been plenty because now we are all sheltering in place.
Yes,
Here's another curveball to throw
yeah.
at you.
This is a
So
yeah,
tell me about how are you adjusting to this whole new wave
yeah.
of
Well, you know what, Mari, I think um, the first week I was paralyzed basically and didn't know what to do. And then I said, how long is this going to last? And then as the second week came upon us, I said, I guess I should do something, and I was reading to see what we could do or how long this was going to last. And one of my teachers that used to teach for me has a studio down in Newport. And I called her and I said, how are you doing and what are you doing? She said, I'm doing Zoom classes. I said, what the heck is Zoom? So that's what I did. I got our studio up and running. My dear sweet son, who is Mr. Technology, came and got my whole studio up and running. And so we've been into our second week of classes. All of our teachers are teaching from home. I'm trying to get one of my studios up and running with Wi-Fi. That's the other thing. If you don't have a really good Wi-Fi, you can't get the music, and it
Mhm,
kind of skips a little bit.
mhm.
So one of my teachers may be teaching out of one of the rooms at the studio by herself, but everybody's at home, and we're teaching and we're connecting with our students, which is fantastic because
Yeah.
um, we're able to call them by name and talk to them and ask them questions. They can ask the teacher questions, and it seems to be going well so far. At least, hopefully, it goes well as long as we can't be back in the studio.
I think it's really great, and I like the concept of it being a Zoom class where there still is the interaction. You can still talk to each other. I've been doing my workouts with my boot camp instructor that way, so it's nice that you can all still be in class even though you're in your house. It's workable as opposed to it just being a video that we shot and just do this. Just
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of need that feedback that. that
Exactly.
that community.
You do. You need that feedback and talking and connection to where, your voice matters and I'm looking at you. Do you need help? And it was great because I go in and I pop in all the classes. I make sure that I say hi to the teacher and talk to the students. And I was able to sit there and observe like I would observe a teacher at the studio. And I just love how they are making corrections to the student and letting them know, the turnout, your hip is down, and
Yeah.
can you grab your foot from this area and reach up. And it's neat because they're able to still make the corrections and still make the connection with, calling them by name. And even though we're not physically in the same room together, it is a different kind of energy, at least you're giving to the student.
Yeah,
So,
I think that it's a really great alternative solution for the moment.
for the moment,
Yeah.
I know, I'm thankful for that. I really am. I'm thankful for that because otherwise it would just be nothing. And I know when you go from, 100 to 0, it's like, oh my goodness. So at least there's a little bit of normalcy as being able to connect and teach and see their faces and see if they're smiling and how they're doing, and
You
building
know
a.
what it's so good. You know what I really am loving about this kind of inward time where everybody has to kind of go inward is that all the dance videos that I'm seeing, like random people who you would never expect to dance, but everybody can dance, and it feels like it's kind of getting a like you see everyone doing those challenges and stuff online, and everyone's doing dancing, which is joyful, which is so great that we're
Yeah.
connecting to our joy through dance.
Yes. Putting on music. Music is healing.
Mm-hmm.
And it always has been and always will be. So you just put on that music and all of a sudden people remember either what they did when they were little kids, or maybe they're having a new inspiration of, hey, let me try this. I never did it before. I'm home. What the heck? Let's have some good times. I've seen some really hysterical things.
Hysterical. Yeah.
Hysterical. Just the funniest things. And like I said, has definitely made us laugh, which we need more of that,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, the families and the dance challenges, like you said, it's cute because it's taken time to work on something, work on choreography. People that would never
Mm.
ever, families that would never do this are doing things that are really cute.
No,
So,
for real. Like my daughters are here from college, and they're
oh,
all doing their classes online and everything. And we
oh yeah.
take breaks and we do this like little TikTok choreography.
Good.
And they're like, "Mom," I'm like, I used to dance. Okay,
Yeah. I do have some history here
I might
somewhere.
know a little bit.
That's really cute, but that's the fun. I mean, that's half the fun, and it's an experience that it's great to have. And then you can look back and go, hey, we made the best out of the time that week.
Yeah, and maybe a resurgence towards dance would be really lovely to see. I read a comment on somebody's Instagram that said, if you ever thought that art wasn't important, try living at home alone without books and paintings and music and being able to move your body and dance. Like, think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh no, that the world would feel very dull for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things I was on your Instagram, and I saw you have an Instagram Dance 10 for the studio, and I saw one of your alumni did a video, kind of a montage of her dancing, and I really like that because when the scholarships students, they submit video of their choreography. But is that the new wave? So I want to kind of get into what it takes now to fly and to go out in the world and make a living as a dancer. So I'm just graduating high school. Usually it's about the time when people are thinking I'm either going to go into college and go that route, or I'm going to go to LA or New York and try to make it. So where would you start? Like, what are the tools that they need to have in their toolbox?
Um, well, first of all, you have to look at what you're emulating, what you visualize yourself doing or being, and be really realistic about it. So I would take the most professional dancers and study them and see if you are at the level at that level? Can you keep up with that level? Can you dance side by side if you were to dance side by side with
Mm,
that person? Because those are the people that are auditioning. Those are the
wow.
people.
Yeah.
Those are the people who are auditioning. So you've got to be really realistic. Um, there's a lot of travel shows and stuff that you don't have to be, a huge, maybe really, really, really trained dancer. You can be more of a hip hop dancer and just really funky and be able to catch the moves and everything. If you're able to keep up with that, that's fantastic. If you're able to, I think you really have to learn choreography fast. You have to
Right.
be able to pick it up, learn it, and hit it hard, and have personality. So you can always be really great in picking up stuff, but if you look like you're a deer in the headlights for your facial expressions, that's not going to get the job. So you have to be able to get all of those working
Mm,
between the choreography, hitting everything and not making mistakes, and then also have the personality of the different. I always tell my dancers when they do a dance, I want to see different emotion. I want to see at least 3 to 4 different emotions in your
mm,
piece of work. I just don't want to see a monotone kind of face just
mhm.
looking at me. I want to feel what you're feeling and what the choreography and what the music's telling you to do. That's going to be, I just need expression. And I think that sometimes a dancer is so trained, they're not really performing and they're not really feeling it in their face. They're doing what they've been trained to do, either just, paint a smile on or act like you're in pain all the time. So it's you really, it's that the contemporary is very passionate, very emotional, but in the word passion and emotional, you could basically change your expression in your body and in your face probably about 4 or 5 times in a dance piece.
I think
Um,
that's brilliant, Pam, because to put the word emotion around that is better than saying you need to smile here and then laugh over here and then cry over here. Like, what is the emotion that you're
mhm.
emoting in the
Right,
story
right,
of this dance?
right.
Oh, I've never heard it said that way. I really like that. That's
Yeah, yeah. It's just like I said, and as somebody's growing up, I always say, if you haven't felt sadness, which a lot of kids have been, protected so much, which is great. Maybe it hasn't had a lot of um, negative downfalls or anything, which is good. But then, I always say, well, is there a sad time that you had an animal and the animal passed away and you felt really bad? Because that's emotion. And they go, yeah, I had that. Well, I said, that's an emotion. That's an emotion you had. What did you feel? What did you feel there? It's interesting because it's, as a young dancer is growing up, they haven't had a lot of hardships possibly. So it's hard to have those layers of emotion to be able to understand or to be able to share through a dance. So you have to imagine, sometimes you have to just use your imagination of what it would feel like.
mhm,
So yeah, it's different. Everybody has a different way, definitely a different way of learning.
mhm. Yeah, I used to, with my students, I used to see the ones that you could tell the ones who had their heart broken, let's just say. It's like they come crying and their boyfriend broke up with they broke up with their boyfriend. You're like, great, you're going to be a great dancer now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You
We
have to
got
have a
something to work with.
yeah, a little bit of life experiences to be able to pull into your dance, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. But so kind of going to this video, do you like what's the technical tools that someone's going to need? Like, do they have to go to college and have a degree in dance, or do you advise that if they want to become stronger technicians, like you said, be able to stand next to that person and hold up and keep up with them? Or do you feel like you can do that in a private studio dance setting while going out on auditions? Do you need an agent? Do you need a video? Like, what's that technically look like?
Yeah, you can, if the studio is really strong and producing really strong dancers, you can just go to a private studio. Um, or if you feel like some people want that college degree to back them up because they don't really know what they're going to do. Maybe a backup if they don't get the jobs that they think they're going to get, at least they have a degree to be able to teach, choreograph, work in a school environment someday. So, everybody's really different, and it's like, I went right from high school into a professional world. So I was different in that sense. I didn't go and running my studio, and I don't have a degree, but I've, taught all over. I've taught at colleges. I've taught at schools, and I've been running my own, you know, own school for 28 years. So you're always learning as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You're always learning. You're going, we go to conventions, and they have teachers classes you can take to keep learning. I don't think as a dancer or a teacher or even a dancer or, in the profession, you never stop learning. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter how old you are. So I think it's just really what the person wants to do. And if they don't know, there are different avenues that you can go to. I've had people go and audition, and then they haven't been able to get the jobs, and they're like, I'm not good enough. I said, no, you're really good. You're just something's not clicking yet. So um, I always say what you wear, what the audition is, what you're wearing, what they're typecasting, knowing more of what the audition, what the choreographer is wanting. Um, you know, if it's a hip hop number, you're not going to go in a ballet outfit. You really got to know what's going on and who you're trying to impress.
So don't just show up thinking that your tricks and your talent is going to get you the job. Like, research the company, know
Yeah.
who they're looking for.
Yeah, because, especially if there's a director or producer there, they don't sometimes have the imagination. They want to see exactly what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to have the imagination like, well, oh, if that person, I'm looking for a blonde and they're all redheads. It's like, well, if they're looking for blondes and that's what they're typecasting, there's a good chance they may not choose a redhead.
Mm-hmm.
So not that you can't turn blonde, because I've had people actually turn their hair color for the producer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I don't know, it's you don't have that crystal ball. You just go in and know as much as you can about the choreographer and the audition and what they're looking for. You have to have really fantastic headshots and body shots probably.
Yeah, yeah.
And then let's see, you do a lot of times you do need tapes and videos to get an agent. So I do have some dancers that have had to put together really fantastic things to get an agent, so the agent will represent them and see that they're good enough to be representative, to hold their own in an audition. So you really need to be versatile too. You just don't want to be, I encourage the dancers to do everything, even if they don't like tap. I said, my studio, I make them tap. I said, you're not going to maybe like it, but you know what? When that audition comes up and they want to tap you, you're going to be really happy that you know how to do this. So, ballet is your foundation and strength. And I was all jazz. I was all about jazz and hip hop. That was my love, and still I really, really enjoy it. But being versatile, I think, is really important. You have more opportunity. If you can sing and if you can act and do some lines, I'd encourage that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of chuckling at the tap because Pat, your mom, would always make us tap. She was so good at it, and it was bad.
Yeah, I know.
I was a really good air tapper. I could do like all the upper body stuff.
Yeah. You said you're a good faker, and that's good. And there's a few things you need to learn, even if you're going to do a musical or something. If you can do the time step and
I know the time step, got a little shuffle, a little buffalo step.
Yeah, hey, if it's the last point, you could. There's amazing things that you could be doing, but like I said, it's something that you may not like. I have ballerinas that don't like hip hop. I said, well, sorry, we're going to do some hip hop now because it's good for you. It's like your vegetables, you're going to do it. So, I make them do it, and all of a sudden they're like, I didn't think I could do this. I go, yeah. So don't have fear. Try it.
It's so different. You just have to like turn to do ballet and then switch over to hip hop. It's just, you have to turn one off and turn the other on. I know when I started doing yoga, it was like I had to turn off the ballet. It was I wanted to turn everything out, and everything's not turned out.
I know.
It's just like don't try to make it what it's not. Just be with what it is instead.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a treat. Thank you so much, Pam. I
You're
just
welcome.
I'm just I'm smiling ear to ear because it's
Yay.
just so great to talk to you, but it's so
Yeah.
wonderful to hear all of these stories of everything that you've done. You're amazing.
You know what? Thank you so much. It's been really good, and I'm still not done all the way, but I've really enjoyed. I'm at peace of what I have been able to do and being able to give back to our students, and that they've been able to grow. And I've had some good success with dancers working in the business. So, it's just nice to be able to give information and be helpful. And
Mm-hmm.
I thank you it's so good to talk to you after all these years too. Bless your heart.
Oh,
You're doing, you're an amazing artist, as
mm,
you know. I love all your artwork that
thank
you
you.
do.
Thank
And
you.
I'm glad that you're doing this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's just another way to let everybody in the world know that you can thrive as an artist and that there's many, many avenues on how to get there. There's no one path. You can do it like you did
There's no one
it.
path. Absolutely. Everybody has a path. And the more knowledge you have, the more paths you may be able to take to say, well, that person did this and that person did that, and maybe I'll try this. But everybody's path is different, and it's supposed to be. And that's a good thing.
There's some similarities in something that you were saying when I was thinking when you were saying that study the person that you want to be like and see can you hold your own next to them. It's true in any art craft or form. Like be so good at your craft that you can, that painting can go right next to your favorite painter's painting.
Right,
And it's a
right.
daily practice. Like you always are working on it. It's not when one day you're like, I am a perfect dancer today.
Yes, yes. Yeah, well, the thing is, I always tell my dancers that nobody can be you. There is absolutely
Right.
nobody that can be you. But know that you can hold next to somebody that is already working and
Mhm.
already doing it. So if you can hold your own, then and you are yourself, then it's not going to get any better than that. So
Mhm.
it's having the confidence. The more that you do, the more confident you do become.
Right. Right. And the more you love it, like you said at the very
Mhm.
beginning, like you started to dance, you're like, oh, I'm kind of good at this. I think I like this. And that you get a little confident, you want to keep doing it. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And I think I encourage when I see the parents that come in and they've got their kids doing so many different things. I don't know if their child is really getting good at anything, but they've got multiple. They're trying to figure out what their child wants. And a lot of times, a child never really knows until they start being good at something. And they go,
Mhm.
"Hey, I really do like this. I'm pretty good at it." It's the confidence that builds.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
it's kind of good to be able, when you do see that your child starts to focus on something, then you do zoom in on it, because you know they're going to get good at something and they'll feel way more confident you know
And I
at what
think dance is such an amazing art form because it's an athletic sport. I mean, to be able to do the things that your dancers are doing, and they're telling a story, and they're making it look pretty, and they know exactly what every single part of their body is doing at every second. You know,
I
it's
know.
amazing to
It is
me.
amazing. It is amazing. It really is. It's I say it too. We've got beautiful teachers and choreographers at my studio that have been with me for a long, long, long time, and they're just doing amazing things. I'm seeing amazing stuff out there in the world anyway, and there's been great television shows that have really been
Hmm.
fantastic, to watch the different styles of dance and choreography and costumes and everything. So um,
So as we're kind of going forward with this shelter in place situation, are your classes, if someone who's in New Jersey listening to this podcast would like to take one of your classes, is that something they could
yes,
sign up and do?
yeah,
Ah,
they just go to my website. It's www.dance-10, you spell the word 10, .com, and they can just go on and sign up. They've got a little thing there. You can just sign up, sends the information to the studio, and then I and turn around and send them the code and the password. So yeah, you're interested in training with one of our teachers and seeing what it's like. It's different, you know. Like I said, I have one of my teachers that's trying to get into our studio to just have an area, a little larger area to teach in, but everybody else has been doing it at home and seem to be doing just fine and dandy. But they can go to the website and join.
Yeah. And well, maybe a little wing to your business when things open back up to still offer those classes
Yeah,
online.
yeah, what a wonderful thing. I actually have somebody from New Jersey that just joined yesterday. She
That's so
actually,
funny. I just said New Jersey.
oh,
That's
yeah,
weird.
you did say Jersey, didn't you? Yeah, it's funny because they had moved like 3 or 4 years ago, so I guess the daughter got really excited to come back and get connected, so she's
Yeah.
training for that. That's neat. I mean, that is a great thing of this, is that some dancers can connect and come on in and join in the fun. And
So
um,
good.
yeah.
Well, I'll have all of these links. Will all your info will be in the show notes so people can find you and follow you and take a dance class.
Thank you, Mari. That's so great. It's so great to talk with you.
Yay. Yay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this podcast and you'd like to support it even more, you can join me over on patreon.com/Mari Robeson and become a patron of mine. If you're a patron of mine, you'll receive bonus episodes every month, only for patrons. You'll also receive 20% off all the merchandise in my online shop, marirobeson.bigcartel, and you will be receiving free printables every month that will be of my artwork, and they're some really fun things. You can follow along on Instagram and you can see what I'm creating just for my patrons. I would deeply appreciate it. It would help me keep the lights on, and it would help me pay all the fees that it takes to put together a podcast like this so that I can keep supporting all the artists, keep bringing you great information, keep paying it forward to the next generation of artists. It's just a wonderful thing, and I would really deeply appreciate your support.